Welcome to D.I.Y. Automotive School with my friend Pete and Minnie, the body shop girl. It's everything you need to know about cars and more.
Alright, what you're looking at here, you're looking at me pulling a dent out. Now this was a crease in the door right here. I think a shopping cart or something hit it. And what the deal is this is a brand new van. And on these brand new cars like this, the metal is very, very thin. It's paper thin. You got to be very, very careful. When I pulled that out, I pulled it just a little too far. So what I was doing is I was taking my body hammer and I was pulling on it and hammering at the same time. Another thing about this panel right here that we're on, it's flat. There's no curvature in it, there's no contour, it's just a flat piece of sheet metal. And when something like this gets dented and you want to fix it, it's very hard to fix because there's really no contour or any shape to it. So when you put the Bondo on it, and that's what this is about. This is about applying Bondo to a flat surface like this. But when you apply the Bondo to it, what happens is you just keep going over it and over it until you eventually warp the metal. I devised a tool that, to put the Bondo on with, to give it a nice flat surface, to save a lot of time, and to save on materials itself. Let's go over there, let me show you what I'm talking about, and follow my instructions, and you too can make one of these tools. Alright, the tool that we're talking about here, we're talking about making a custom Bondo spreader that's not just going to put the Bondo on, but it's going to help you save on material and reduce the time of what it takes to actually get to the dent and to mold it, sand it, and get it ready for primer all in one. Now, they actually sell these tools. There's a company out there, I don't know what the name of it is. I personally don't give a shit what the name is. I was making these long before this company came out, and they really work well. Alright, so let's start off with this. What you're looking at right here, this is your typical Bondo spreader. It's a throwaway item. Once it starts to wear out, you can see how it's kind of rolled over and it starts getting flimsy. It's time to throw it away, because what you're doing when you're using a used Bondo spreader of this magnitude where it's rolled over and stuff, you're actually putting on way too much Bondo when you're pulling it across. Because now, here's where the flat part is right here. Okay, here's the flat part, and then this rolls over. So you're putting approximately that much Bondo on a space that's going to have a paper thin coat. But we're still going to use this in our process of what I'm going to show you. Now what we're going to start out with here, we got two rulers here. We got, what's this here? This is probably a 2-inch wide ruler, and then we also got a 1-inch wide ruler. Depending on how big the dent is and how much work you got to do is what size you're going to use. This is a small dent, so we're going to go ahead and make our tool out of the small ruler, the 1-inch wide. And if you notice, this is aluminum, it's flexible, and it really moves and does what we're going to need it to do very well. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our ruler, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut a length of that off. And the way that you test how far you want to do it, you want to check the flexibility, okay, of what's going on and how big your dent is. So we're going to make this one approximately, I would say, 12 to 14 inches long. And you can see it's still flexible, and if you watch right here, you can see it still flexes very easy, and it comes right back in shape. The next thing you want to do, you want to go ahead and take your grinder, and you want to round your corners off on your stick. And there you go, our Bondo stick is now made, and we're ready to use this as a Bondo spreader. Let's go over to the car and let's see what happens. Alright, if you look right there, I got my Bondo ready to mix up, and I got my Bondo stick ready to go. And I'm going to use this old Bondo spreader that I showed you to go ahead and put the Bondo on. So we're going to go ahead and mix our Bondo up, making sure that it's mixed thoroughly. We don't want no streaks, we don't want no glumps or globs. We want it to be one uniform color. Once your Bondo's mixed up thoroughly, you go ahead and take your Bondo and apply it just like you would normally. Put in just a little bit more than you usually would on it. And then what we're going to do is make sure that that door does not close on us. Son of a bitch. And then what we're going to do, we're going to take our Bondo stick that we made, and we're going to give it a slight bend. But what we're going to do is we are going to lightly drag the Bondo. If you see how I'm holding that, I'm dragging that Bondo. And now you can see where the Bondo was filled in. We'll go ahead and take our Bondo off of our stick. And now we're going to go ahead and lightly do it one more time. And you can see that it's taken all of the excess Bondo off and just filling it where it needs to be. Let me show you that one more time before this dries. I put my Bondo on, I take my stick, I lean it toward me as I'm pulling, and I lightly pull it toward me. Just like so. And then of course what we would do would let that dry, and then we'll come back and block sand that. And what we've done, we have cut the work of applying our Bondo, taking our old Bondo spreader. You can see that that has a curve on it and what it's going to do for us. And we have used half of the Bondo, we've used half the Bondo that we normally would. And that means that it's going to use half the sandpaper and half of the effort and half of everything else than it normally would to do the job right. We'll let that dry for a minute. We'll come back. I'm going to hand block that. I'm going to show you what it's like and how easy it really is when you use a Bondo stick made out of a ruler. Now, you can buy a 12-inch ruler if you want. I like to buy the big 4-footers because then I can cut them to sizes that I want, and then I can keep them in stock. Do you see what I'm saying? So for this small dent here, this is basically all you need. And what I did one more time, I took it like this, I kind of bowed it just a little bit. You can see I'm bowing it, and then I curve it like this, and I lightly pulled it toward me. All right, I didn't put it down on there forcefully and then pull it. I just lightly set it on top of the Bondo and pulled it toward me. All right, you can see that I made this approximately 3 inches over the dent. All right, 3 inches over the dent area. And then when I pulled that, it made that nice and flat, where it's going to give me minimal work, minimal materials, and minimal sandpaper that I have to fuss and fuck with as I'm trying to fix this car and get it out of my shop.
Thanks for watching D.I.Y. Automotive School. Classes don't stop till you know everything.